Welcome to the British Museum in the heart of London. It's midnight, the museum's closed, everybody's gone home, but for two teams of history buffs, the hard work's just about to begin. Behind those doors are 5 extraordinary artifacts chosen to inspire and confound. Welcome to Codex. Here in the sculpture gallery of the British Museum, I'm about to put two teams through 5 grueling rounds covering over 4,000 years of world history. Only one of tonight's teams will win a prize of £3,000 and, a Codex cube, a symbol of their victory. Let's meet the competitors.
My name's James and I'm team captain of the Guides. With me on the team are Vicky and Becky. The 3 of us work together as guides at the Yorkshire Museum, and we all share a love of history.
I think our jobs as guides will really help us in the quiz because we're constantly surrounded by history. So I think that'll give us like an edge over the other team.
We've got quite a few sort of specialisms, but maybe not such a broad range of history, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh, we're really taking this seriously. We're quite desperate to win. We are one of the best museums in York and we want to prove it to everyone.
I'm Gareth, I'm captain of the Spurs for London buses, and this is my wonderful team here, Natasha and Alan. As bus surveyors, we go out onto the road, we monitor the buses, and it's all for passenger data, so we know how many buses to put on the roads.
I think the strong points really are that we do like history, all of us.
I'd say our worst fear is looking like fools on the show.
Well, we're very competitive, especially I think Natasha's our driving force. So hopefully with me leading and with Alan's knowledge, we'll win.
Like buses, Codex teams always come in 3s. James, you recently completed a degree in military history, so presumably shock and awe are going to be your tactics tonight?
Yeah, we're hoping we get some armour or something along those lines.
Of course you will, you great big butch scary thing. Gareth, you studied ancient philosophy and now you count buses for a living.
I know it's a bit of a strange step, isn't it?
It is. Discuss. No, don't discuss. Actually, whatever you do, don't discuss that. Teams, it's time to study our first artifact, which is really eerie. This is the face of Oliver Cromwell. As a radical Protestant, Cromwell believed Parliament should have more power and the king less. The king disagreed and lost his head. But what was he like? Well, just after he died, a cast was made of his face right there on his deathbed, and amazingly, here it is. Let's find out more about it in round 1. Guides and surveyors, I'm going to ask you 10 tricky questions about Oliver Cromwell and give you a choice of 3 possible answers. This is a team round, so you can confer, okay? Each correct answer earns you 10 points. Guides, I'm going to start with you. Your first question is, from 1644, Cromwell was Lieutenant General of which parliamentarian force? The Roundhead Army, the Barebones Army, or the New Model Army?
Well, I know they were called the Roundheads, but
It's the model.
we're thinking the New Model Army. We're going to go with...
Confidently says the New Model Army. You're right. Surveyors, what title did Cromwell take in December 1653? His Royal Highness, Attorney General, or Lord Protector?
Yeah, I've heard of Lord Protector. We say Lord Protector.
Lord Protector is correct. Guides, what was Cromwell offered by Parliament in 1657, turning it down after weeks of consideration? The Crown, Hampton Court Palace, a duchy?
I think it's the crown. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go with Crown on this one.
Vicky, you're on a roll, aren't you? You're correct. Surveyors, in 1658, Cromwell is believed to have died after medical complications arising from what? A gunshot wound, malaria, or a hunting accident?
Okay, we decided now.
I think you said that, didn't you, Natasha? You're right. Guides, what was the name of Oliver's son who succeeded him as Lord Protector? Richard, Henry, or Oliver?
Yeah, we're quite confident on this one, Richard.
Vicky, you're so assertive and always right so far. Surveyors, the mask was made from a cast of his face not long after he died. What is it made of? Lacquer, clay, or wax? Have a good look at it.
We say clay.
You're saying clay, are you right? No, it was wax. Guides, what famous facial feature of Cromwell's is missing from the mask? Is it wart, monobrow, or hare lip?
Any ideas?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Vicky's been right so far, so I'm going to go what?
You're going to go what?
What?
Absolutely correct. A wart. It's interesting, though, when his portrait was painted, Cromwell said that he didn't want to be flattered and he wanted to be shown with pimples, warts and everything. And that is where we get our expression warts and all from. Surveyors, the band around the edge of his face was made by the impression of helmet, bandages or chain mail.
Bandages.
Alan says bandages. Alan is right. Guides, this is your last question. After the Restoration, his body was dug up and hanged on which notorious gallows in London? Tyburn, Holborn, or St Giles's Circus?
Most criminals were Tyburn, so we're going to go Tyburn.
Tyburn, that's right, close to modern-day Marble Arch. Surveyors, your last question. According to contemporary evidence, his head was then displayed on a pole at Westminster Hall until it was blown down by a strong wind. How long was it there? Was it 6 weeks, 10 months, or 25 years?
We've been right every time so far. Right, so I'll go with Alan, we say 6 weeks.
6 weeks? No, 25 years, nearly. So at the end of round one, the guides have 50 points and the surveyors have 30. Join us after the break when I'll be dispatching 2 players off into the galleries to stand before a pharaoh. Ooh, see you then.
At Homebase, this Christmas tree is only $9.99 because all artificial trees and Christmas lights are up to half price. Homebase.
Don't let anything come between you and your loved one this Christmas. Give the gift of better oral health and save up to half price on Philips Sonicare now.
Do you have a thing for coffee?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Then we have a thing for you. New Nescafe Dolce Gusto.
Get up, get on.
Every day at Lloyd's TSB, we're busy helping our millions of customers get to where they want to go in life. To join us, visit us in branch. Lloyd's TSB, for the journey.
Sainsbury's have got loads of ideas this Christmas. How about simmering chopped apples and cranberries with a generous splash of ruby port? Perfect with a taste the difference applewood smoked gammon joint straight from Yorkshire. Gorgeous. Go on, try something new today.
Do you seek the truth?
Yes.
Come forward. How are those trainers? Sorry, I don't make the rules.
I thought they were quite smart.
It's all right, man. The rest of you are all right.
Go in there without me.
We're not leaving him.
Actually, mate, I think we're probably going to try somewhere else instead.
That's rubbish anyway.
Conquered the skies, conquered Mount Everest, conquered the neck. The new Philips Architect, the first Philips shaver with a flexible head that rotates more fully, so it helps you easily get a close shave, even on the neck. Simplicity is making hard-to-reach places easy to reach.
Until Sunday at WH Smith, 2 for £20 on 40 top hardbacks. Books about bikers, footballers, funny men, hamsters, Irish women, murderers, racing drivers, and one racy woman. Any 2 for £20 this Christmas. Think WH Smith.
Christmas is just around the corner. Any ideas?
What about this Sony 32-inch HD-ready digital LCD TV with DVD home cinema system and glass stand for under £800?
And we can help spread the cost of Christmas.
Who do you think you are, Santa Claus, Klaus?
Spread the cost at Curry's. Christmas with you in mind.
Cruelty. Passion.
I make it my business.
Treachery.
To know the king's business.
This is your doing! The truth behind the most infamous king in history. The Tudors, on DVD Monday.
It was meant to be the hottest curry house in town.
We wanted to create something that had a bit of a wow factor.
It looks ghastly.
This is a first for me, turning around an Indian restaurant.
That looks like a large pair of knickers. Who went out and saw this idea in a restaurant and thought, this is amazing?
All new Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. Tuesday at 9 on 4.
Welcome back to the British Museum, where a team of guides have taken on a team of surveyors to find out who knows more about history. At stake is a prize of £3,000. At the moment, the guides have 50 points and the surveyors 30 points. But with 4 rounds to go, there's everything to play for. Now, during the break, I asked Captains James and Gareth to select a pair to venture off into the museum. Picking the right person for the job can make a difference of 100 points in the round. So, James, who have you chosen?
We've chosen Becky to go for this one. I think she's cool, calm, collected. Definitely the person we want to send out into the museum.
Good luck, Becky. Gareth, who have you chosen?
I decided to choose Natasha, so she's like Nike, Greek goddess of victory.
Go on then, Nike. Off you go, you two. And don't get lost, whatever you do. It'll take Becky and Natasha a little while to get there, but you at home can go there right now. I'm off to meet assistant keeper Neil Spencer. I really ought to shave myself all over because I'm about to have a private audience with a pharaoh. It is a pharaoh, isn't it?
Yes, this is Amenhotep III.
Amenhotep, or Amenhotep, as I always said when I was a kid.
You can say it how you want. We don't know how they pronounce the ancient name.
What do we know about Amenhotep?
He was a king who lived in about 1380 BC and reigned Egypt for over 3 decades. He may have been Tutankhamun's grandfather, and he lived about 1,200 years after the Great Pyramid had been built.
Am I kidding myself, or is there a big line all the way down the side of the cheek there?
You're right. On ceremonial occasions, the king would have worn a false beard, and on this statue you can actually still see carved the chin strap, which would have held his beard in place. The beard is, of course, missing now.
Do you think they just whacked the beard off?
Well, the beard would have been one of the most fragile places, so as the statue fell to the ground and broke, the beard would have fallen off.
This thing in the middle of the headdress is really weird, isn't it? What's that?
This is one of the symbols of royalty. Pharaohs would wear a coiled Uraeus serpent on their brow, which would spit fire at their enemies.
It's a really elaborate hat he's wearing.
It's actually a double crown, 2 different crowns joined together, one representing his rulership over northern Egypt and one representing his rulership over southern Egypt.
So it's a symbol of unification.
Exactly. He controlled 2 lands.
It is really dominant in this room, isn't it? What does it say to us?
Well, this statue would have been set up in front of one of his temples and would have faced outwards towards his subjects, conveying his sheer power and authority over them. The shape of his eyes, the shape of his mouth are very distinctive for this reign. And it's a powerful portrait of this pharaoh at the height of Egypt's imperial power.
We've got 2 teams, haven't we? The surveyors and the guides. And this actually looks a very simple piece to interpret. Do you think it'll trick them?
I would hope not.
Actually, I hope it will. So we have the colossal granite head of one of Egypt's most famous pharaohs, Amenhotep III. The question is, what do you know about ancient Egypt, and what can Becky and Natasha learn from Amenhotep himself? Let's play round 2. This is a buzzer round. I'm going to ask both teams questions about ancient Egypt, and if you think you know the answer, buzz. 10 points for a correct answer. Get it wrong, and I'll pass it round to the other side. Becky and Natasha, are you in position?
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Okay. Every time your team gets 2 questions right, I'll give you a bonus question about Amenhotep. Bonus questions are worth 20 points each, so the heat's really on. Fingers on buzzers. Let's start round 2. These are the pyramids at Giza. What was their main function? Guides.
A burial chamber for the pharaoh.
That's correct. What is the creature with a king's head and a lion's body found as a statue? Yes, guides.
The Sphinx.
Found as a statue near the pyramids, correct. It's the Sphinx. Bonus guides. Becky?
Hello.
Which part of the sculpture shows that Amenhotep was king of both Upper and Lower Egypt? It's for 20 points, Becky.
I think it's his clasp holding his hat on his forehead.
I can't let you have that.
No.
It's the double crown. Fingers on buzzers. Here's the next buzzer question. What did the Egyptians measure with a nilometer? Yes, guides.
The Nile's floodwaters.
That's correct. In what compass direction does the Nile flow? Yes, surveyors.
North.
North. Oh, you teetered there and you just got it right. Well done, Gal. The Egyptian writing system, hieroglyphs, was decoded in which century? Yes, surveyors.
18th century.
The 18th century, no! Other side?
19th century.
The 19th century is right, guides. That's a bonus question to the guides. Becky, over to you. The broken piece on his forehead would have been in the shape of which threatening creature?
Maybe a dog of some sort.
No, Becky,
no,
I'm sorry. The answer is a cobra. Come on,
Cobra,
they're
okay,
working so
I
hard
know.
here. Here's the next buzzer question. The key to decoding the hieroglyphs was the discovery of which black... Yes, guides?
The Rosetta Stone.
Of which black monolith? The correct answer is the Rosetta Stone. Of the 2 Egyptian wonders of the world, one is the Great Pyramid. What was the other? Yes, guides.
The Library of Alexandria.
No, that's wrong. The full question is, of the 2 Egyptian wonders of the world, one is the Great Pyramid. What was the other, built on an island off Alexandria, used to guide ships into harbour?
The Lighthouse of Alexandria.
Correct. That's a bonus to the surveyors. Natasha, what item, usually made of plaited goat's hair, is missing from the statue's chin?
No, would he have like a little goatee?
Correct, a false beard. Alan, you could put one of those on your head, couldn't you? He became pharaoh at the age of 8 and died... Yes, surveyors.
Tutankhamun.
That's correct, and died aged about 17, Tutankhamun or Tutankhamun. This picture is of a mask that shows Tutankhamun as the god Osiris, who was the god of what? Yes, guides.
The underworld.
Correct, Becky. Bonus, Becky. How would the actual false beard have been attached to the pharaoh's chin?
I think it would have been sewed on in some way.
That's wrong. It would have been a chin strap. Key events in Amenhotep's reign, marriage, hunting, digging a lake, were recorded on stone scarabs. What is a scarab? Yes, guides.
A beetle.
I'll accept that. It was a dung beetle. Amenhotep III is one of many pharaohs entombed in ancient Thebes, in an area known as what? Yes, surveyors.
Is it Valley of the Kings?
It is the Valley of the Kings. James tried but missed the buzzer. It's a bonus to the surveyors. Natasha, A later pharaoh, Ramesses, had this statue altered to represent an ideal version of himself. Which feature on the face was changed?
Nose.
His nose is wrong. It was his lips. They were made thinner. So at the end of round 2, the guides have 120 and the surveyors have 90 points. Well done, guides. Hard luck, surveyors. I think both sides were struggling a bit there, weren't they? Round 3 is our instant expert round. Earlier today, we locked both teams in the museum library along with identical packs of information about our next artifact. We gave them just 1 hour to memorise as many facts as they could. Meanwhile, I went to meet Silke Ackerman, curator of European and Islamic scientific instruments, who told me all about it. Have a look at this and pay attention if you want to play along. Looks like a small dinner gong, doesn't it? What is it?
It's an astrolabe. It's one of the most sophisticated instruments ever made. It allows you to tell the time during the day and night. You can tell the time in different hour systems, which is something a clock can never do. You can use it for astrology, you can use it for surveying, you can use it to determine your latitude, anything you want. The bit at the front, the map of the stars, is called a rete. You project the sky onto 2 dimensions, and this cutout bit at the front is the result. So these things sticking out are all star pointers. And if you look very, very closely, you'll see that they're not just pointers, but they're mythical beasts.
What do the circles mean?
Well, the outermost one, which is close to the rim, is the Tropic of Capricorn. And that is as far as you can see in the Northern Hemisphere. The smaller ring up there, that is the path of the sun in the sky, the so-called ecliptic.
So where's north?
In the middle.
Is it all there?
Unfortunately not. There are bits missing. I brought a smaller one along just to show you. You see, when you hold it up and do your observations, you look through this bit at the back, which you can swivel up and down, which allow you, when you look through both holes, to see a certain point in the sky. And that bit we call an alidate.
I do think this is going to be a really tough round. And our guides and surveyors don't know anything about astrolabes. Be honest, did you struggle when you first had to learn about it?
This is a tricky one, but when you really get around it and look at the different clues, it's such fun to use. You just want to go one step after the other. And it's really quite simple to use once you get the hang of it.
Once you get the hang of it. So, teams, are you experts on astrolabes? Of course you are. Right, I'm going to ask you 10 questions about the Sloane astrolabe, and I'll start with you, Gareth, because you're behind, and also because you're wearing white plimsolls. And when you've answered the question, I'll give you another one, and then you have to nominate a player on the other side to answer the question. And let me remind you, there are £3,000 at stake, so don't be kind, pick the dimwit. So, let's play. Gareth, true or false? This astrolabe would enable a traveller to pinpoint their location on the Earth.
True.
The answer is false. Next question. Which element of your position could be accurately obtained, latitude or longitude? Who are you going to ask?
Becky.
Becky, can you answer that question?
The altitude.
No, not your altitude, your latitude. The Gothic-style movable section shows the path of the sun and other bright stars. What's it called? Who's going to answer that?
Natasha, please.
Natasha?
The rate.
I'll give you that. It's pronounced reet, really, but I'll give you that. What period of time is denoted by one full rotation of the reet? Who's going to answer that?
Becky.
1 year.
1 year? No, 1 day. You didn't swap very hard, you lot, did you? What point on Earth is at the centre of the reet? Who's going to answer that?
Alan, please.
Is it the horse?
I'm going to have to send you away, the horse? The horse? The North Pole is the answer. Go away and study again. God, you're floundering. How many star pointers, some represented by the tongues of dogs and dragons, are on the astrolabe? Who's going to answer that?
Vicky.
Vicky?
12.
12? No, 40. Which tropic forms the outer boundary of the Rete? Who's going to answer that?
Natasha.
Natasha? What a confident-looking face you have.
Is it a plate?
Is it a plate? God. How long did you spend mugging this up, you guys? The answer is Capricorn. Were you looking at the right thing? Were you reading the right books? Which plate, which 7-letter word describes the rotating ruler used for measuring altitudes that's missing from the reverse face?
Becky again.
Becky, they're really getting stuck into you, aren't they?
The altitude, I'm not pronouncing it right, the altitude.
Yes, can you just do the hand movement again?
Go on.
The hand movement was right, the word was wrong. It's the Alidade.
Alidade.
Which saint, the first Archbishop of Canterbury, has his feast day, the 26th of May, marked on the astrolabe?
Alan,
which person on the other team? Alan?
Augustine.
St. Augustine is correct. Well done, surveyors. And the last one of this catastrophic round, this sad round, this shame of a round, is the astrolabe would have been hung by the ring at the top. Why was that important for accuracy? Which one is going to be Brain of Britain?
I'll go Vicky again.
Vicky?
Was it to allow the movement of the plate?
No, so that it hangs at a fixed angle. A dismal performance by both sides, but the surveyors have closed the gap to 10 points. Well done. Round 4 is all about instant analysis. Once again, I need a player from each team, and this time they'll play the whole round on their own. There are 80 points up for grabs, and frankly, you both need them. So, captains, who have you chosen? James?
I've chosen myself for this one, captain's responsibility.
You're going to go down with your ship. And Gareth?
I've chosen Alan to do this task. He's got a good eye for detail.
OK, off you go, guys. And let's hope for your sake there isn't another astrolabe down there. What are they about to see? Have a look. With the museum's help, we've made a list of 8 key words used to describe our next artifact, which Alan and James need to identify to win valuable points. Let's find out what those key words are from curator Sam Moorhead.
This is a marble statue of Mithras that was made in the 2nd century AD, around about the time of the Emperor Hadrian. Mithras is an Eastern god. He was adopted by the Romans, and his religion gradually spread across the Roman Empire until it peaked just before Christianity arrived with Constantine. It shows Mithras killing a bull in sacrifice, a bull which represents life, and you can see that he is stabbing the bull, and blood is flowing out of the bull, and the dog, his trusted companion, is licking the blood. This is very common on Mithraic sculptures. Also, there's a snake. We're not entirely clear about the symbolism of the snake, but it's thought here to represent rebirth, because snakes slow their skin and they appear to be reborn each time they do so. Although I've given you a very clear exposition of this piece, we don't know a great deal about the religion of Mithras. In fact, you could really say that it's a mystery cult.
So now you at home know something about the artifact, but for James and Alan it's still a mystery, I hope. Alan?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear, Tony.
Do you know which artifact you're standing in front of?
Haven't got a clue at the moment.
Well, let's hope you do when you turn around. I'm about to give you 60 seconds to tell us everything you can about it. With the museum's help, we've made a list of 8 key words about the artifact. Every time you mention one of the key words, you'll hear this sound and earn 10 points. So that's 8 key words, 10 points each. That's 80 points for the taking. But are you up to it, Alan?
Yes, I'm rearing to go. I'll tell you that now.
Okay, let's play round 4. Alan, your 60 seconds starts now.
Right, it's marble. It's basically a horse being killed by, it looks like a Greek leader of some sort. I said it's marble. There's a greyhound at the bottom, licking the... no, it's licking at the bull's wound. The bull is licking. Maybe it's a minotaur. It could be from Crete.
30 seconds.
It could be from Crete, but obviously not. It could be Greek or Roman, Etruscan. Right, it's Etruscan, so that means it's going to be around about 500 BC, I would think. Or Romulus and Remus was 348, so no, it must be before that. It must be about 800 BC, 700 BC, 600 BC, 500 BC. No, it's none of them.
Alan, your time's up. Alan, you mentioned 3 key words and scored 30 for your team. It was, of course, a statue of the god Mithras slaying a bull, though it sounded more like the laughing cow from your description, Alan. Please make your way back. Now, guys, it's your turn. James, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, again, you've got 1 minute to tell us everything you can about the artifact behind you. Mention one of the key words and you'll earn 10 points. And your time starts now.
Okay, it's a statue, which is probably Roman. It appears to be of Mithras, the Roman god. He's got a bull, he's got his dogs with him. It's made out of marble, and Mithras was the god of war. One of the gods came from the Persian Empire originally, I believe. He's killing the bull, which they used to sacrifice. There was a cult in his honour. He's wearing a cloak, probably 3rd, 4th century AD, 2nd century, 3rd century, 2nd century. Fantastic, I knew I'd get it in the end. He's wearing what appears to be a tunic. He's got a cloak, he's got a hat. He's not wearing sandals.
10 seconds.
He was worshipped by soldiers. And yeah, that's about it.
Time's up. James, you came good there. You mentioned 6 key words and scored 60 for your team. It was, of course, a statue of the god Mithras slaying a bull. The key words you missed were snake and blood. So at the end of round 4, the guides have 180 points and the surveyors have 140. Join us after the break for the final round, in which teams must answer questions as their points plummet like a runaway lift, and one team will win £3,000. Oh, and that final round is all about games.
Enjoy Christmas at Aldi with our Veuve Monsini champagne. Absolutely guaranteed to add a little sparkle and fizz to your Christmas. And at £9.99, it's a gift. Aldi. Spend a little, live a lot.
Not a day goes by without someone using the word digital. My goodness, Sandra, you're looking very digital this evening. Jeffrey, would you please pass the digital? I need to digital on the digital. Get set for digital.
Welcome back to the British Museum. Dawn's approaching, and it's the final round of Codex. At the moment, the guides have 180 points, and the surveyors have 140 points. But round 5 is like one of your bus timetables. Nothing is certain. Here in front of me is an ancient board game. It's called the Game of 20 Squares, and it was found in the royal graves at in ancient Iraq. It's about 4,500 years old. You can actually play this online at the British Museum's Mesopotamia website. And games have played a surprising part in the history of mankind, which is why we've chosen games as our theme for your final round in this week's Codex. I'm going to quiz each team about games from any and from all periods. I'll ask each player a question in turn, no conferring. Now, here's the catch. The moment the questions start, your scores will begin to fall, and they'll keep on falling until either you answer 5 questions right or you run out of points. Only then will we stop the clock. And whichever team has got the most points left wins the show and the £3,000 and, of course, the Codex Cube. Okay, surveyors, I'm going to start with them, and your questions on games in history start now. First played in England at the Duke of Beaufort's house, which racket sport is based on the Greek game battledore?
Tennis.
Badminton. After Elizabeth I ordered her execution, which queen's body was wrapped in cloth torn from a billiard table?
Mary Queen of Scots.
Correct, Mary Queen of Scots. Natasha, this vase from the Vatican depicts Achilles and Ajax playing a board game during a lull in the fighting of which war?
Pass.
The Trojan War. So that he could continue to play cards, which earl famously asked for sliced meat and bread to be brought... Correct, the Earl of Sandwich to be brought to the gaming table. Suddenly, Gareth springs to life. Alan, a board for medieval game Nine Men's Morris has been carved into a cloister seat at which church in Westminster?
Westminster Abbey.
Correct. Which football team are called the Blades after the city's traditional knife-making industry, Natasha?
Pass.
It's Sheffield United. You're on a great run, aren't you, Natasha? In which country was snooker developed by British Army officers in 1875, Gary?
India.
In India, correct. Charles Darrow developed the board game Monopoly because he lost his job after which 1929 economic disaster?
General strike?
No, the Wall Street crash. And your time's up. Stop the clock, please. Surveyors, you started with 140 points. You now have a grand total of no points, nil point, and that is your final score. Bad luck. So, guides, that's the score for you to beat. You need 5 questions right to stop the clock. If your final score is above 0, you win 3 grand. So, get ready. Your questions on games start now. James, when a cricket batsman reaches the score of 111, it's traditional for him to stand on one leg in honour of which British hero?
Nelson.
Yes, correct, Nelson. In 1971, Vicky, where did Alan Shepard become the first person to hit a golf ball?
Yorkshire.
Nearly the moon. Which battle of September the 25th, 1066 is also the name of Chelsea Football Club's home ground, Becky?
Hastings.
Good try! Stamford Bridge, all those Chelsea fans going in the wrong direction every Saturday. Which South London cricket ground was used as a temporary POW camp in 1944?
The Oval.
Correct. Which defeated British Prime Minister went straight from Downing Street to the Oval on May the 2nd, 1997?
John Major.
Correct. Which popular toy, also called a whirligig or bandolore, was known in ancient China and Greece?
Pass.
It was a yo-yo. Which Nobel Prize winner objected to quantum theory when he said that God did not play dice with the universe?
Einstein?
Correct, Einstein. It's all down to James at the moment, isn't it? Which London street, part of the pink set in Monopoly, takes its name from a 16th century precursor of croquet?
Pass.
Pall Mall. Costing 10 shillings to enter, what was drawn for the first time in England at the west door of St Paul's in 1569?
Pass.
A lottery. Which public school has played its famous wall game since 1766?
Eton?
Correct. Stop the clock. James, on your own, single-handedly, you've managed to stop the clock. Guides, you started with 180 points. James, you now have 63 points, and that is your final score, which means that the Guides are this week's winners. Well done, Guides, fantastic. Surveyors, you were just second with no points. That's it for tonight. My thanks to the British Museum, to the Guides, and to the Surveyors for keeping me up all night. Until next time, goodbye. Put that in your tea, it'll give you a surprise.
More Codex at 6 o'clock next Saturday. The artefacts from tonight's show, as well as over 4,000 highlights from the British Museum's unique collection, are available to view on our website at channel4.com/codex. Next tonight, the Channel 4 News.